Okay, now what we're going to do, I've got chairs completely cut out. This is the one, remember, with the little line we're going to end up cutting out of both of these sides. And then I've also got one without. So I've got the pieces cut out. So what I'm going to do now is everywhere where there is a dotted line, little dotted line, we're going to have to fold. Now, to help with that, I'm going to be using triangle. I cleaned it up. I had lunch right after I shot the first video, so I cleaned all this up. And my bone folder, which also needs to be cleaned. I wonder why I didn't clean that one up. And I've got a new mat underneath here, but I like to have a little bit more padding. So I usually take a piece of sulfite drawing paper and put it underneath, just to give the paper, when I push on it, a little place to go, so I'm not poking through. And when I say a piece of sulfite drawing paper, it's just regular white drawing paper. It's the stuff that I would get for my students. And I just took it and folded it into quarters. So it's nothing fancy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be using this side part here. This little, come on, focus. The little side bit right here. Now, what you want to do, I'm going to take my my straight edge, my triangle, and I know that there's a line that goes from here all the way to here. And I'm going to line it up where it's just to the side of the line. Can you see how I can see the dotted line there? You don't want it like that or like that. Don't want it like that. You want it so that when you use your tool, your bone folder or your burnisher, that it's going to go onto the top of the line. Now, I can tell I'm still a little bit off. I made that tiny little mark there with the burnishing tool, and I need to move it over just a tiny bit. And that's just to make sure that the tool is in the right spot. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and forth 1, 2, 3 times. And you can see that it's made like can you see the little indentation? And you'll be able to see it from the back. So let's do that again. I'm going to flip it over and do this other side. And remember, this goes all the way through. It's a little harder to see on some of the wood. So let's see. Let's get that just, I think I used to move it just a tiny bit more. So whatever you're using, whether it's something like this kind of piece, you need to make sure that you're leaving enough room. I would need to move over even more for this one. And that's one of the reasons I don't like using those kinds. I want it to just be, there we go. And you can see I kind of do a little bit of a test. 1, 2, 3. And it's right on top of the line. Now, if you're a person that has a printer at home and you do goof up something like this, don't worry. You can, finish making the first one so you kind of know where everything goes, and then, print out another one. That's one of the things I really like about this, is that if you do goof something up, you can easily reprint it. So let's just go ahead and get, I'm trying to look at this through glare, which makes it a little harder, because that extends all the way up there. And then I've got to flip it around. Let's do this side. And again, it's, no one's going to die if this isn't perfect. Okay, flip it over. I like to occasionally flip it over, make sure I've got enough, like I can see where things are going. Let's see, and then I need to do one here, one here, one here, and one here. Okay, so let's readjust that. And get this one done. Not doing anything about this line. Okay, I did that one. I did that one. Let's do this one. Okay, pop down here. Do this one. One of the things I like about this particular triangle is the edges show up neon. So it does help me in locating where things are. Okay, and then there's that one. I think that's it. And sometimes you do have to press down on your straight edge. So if I look here, you can see where all those fold lines are. So I'm going to raise this up just a little bit. Move that over and get rid of that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I just call it like the preliminary fold. It's just getting, you know, showing the paper which way it's going to go. And notice I'm just pinching and releasing. I'm not going back and forth over anything because, again, I don't want to disturb the print. This is going to actually go down. Okay, let's fold this one down. I kind of want to make sure that I've got it all the way to the corners. Okay, and this one goes down. That one goes this way, and okay, not bad. Now, if I hadn't put this here, we wouldn't be cutting this. But we're going to cut it, and it's going to look more like this in the end, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have to do some gluing of this down and then cut these. And then we're going to start thinking about the color on the inside and where color needs to go if you plan on putting color on the inside. So that'll be the next part of the video. Okay. Now, what we're going to do next, this is something that I do. You don't necessarily have to do. I like to make sure that these sides are really nice and strong. So I'll usually add a little bit of that scrap cardboard, you know, the stuff that comes off the sides. I'll usually add that to this piece right here. I don't do any measuring. This is how I do it. I'll put it here, and you can see I'm kind of getting it level with this fold right here. Take a pencil, lightly trace around, and I know that'll fit that almost perfectly. So I'm going to just use scissors to snip it out. Okay, so I have this little piece that will fit here, but I don't necessarily need it to go all the way to the edge. I've got to trim a little bit off, at least a millimeter or so off each edge. And again, not measuring. That's about a millimeter. About a millimeter. So that way, when I glue this down, it will sit inside. Now, then I can just take this one and, ooh, I think I can make that fit right there. That way I only have to cut two sides. I hate having to stop and do math. However, that being said, you've noticed I've been using the metric system. Way easier. So now I have pieces that'll fit here and here, and I can glue those down. I'm using tacky glue. It's the best thing. You could, if you wanted to, use a glue stick. That's your choice. I just don't particularly like using the glue stick for things like this. And I use a little piece of a meat skewer to, oops, I glued it on, oh no, I did glue it on the right side, sorry. There's my arm. and then I just glue it in here. Okay, and make sure you're putting the glue on the right side. I sometimes, when I'm talking, get a little, okay, a little forgetful. Okay, and now the next thing you're going to do, because you're going to take glue and put it on each of these sides and then fold them down. Now, I have not forgotten that we need to do cutting over here still, so don't worry about that. So take your glue, and you can see I'm not putting a ton on there. You really don't need a ton. I do like to kind of try to get it, especially these pieces that show a little bit more. Try to get it all the way in there. I'm trying also really hard not to wipe my glue on my hand because it's not good for my skin. And I press it down. I like tacky glue because it will grab hold quickly, and especially on this side of the paper where there isn't any print, it's a little slower at grabbing it. I also like the fact that tacky glue is just that. It's very tacky, and you can see about how much I got on there. And once it's down, it's not going to come back up. Now, if you're like me and you're making multiples at a time, sorry, I got to move something over here. I usually have a book ready to go. This is the book I have. Hi, anxiety. Oh, And what I'll do is I'll just open up the book and put in where I need to hold it down. You can see, just like that. And then I'll go on and glue the other stuff down. So then I'm ready for the next step, because this glue will grab really quick and hold down pretty quickly. So once that's done, let's just pretend it's done. And I put all this stuff back over here. Now you can kind of see where things are going to go. These are going to be glued down. These tabs right here will be glued down, and you know where the base of the chair, the seat of the chair is going to go, because this line is already here. We already know where this is going to go because of where the seat is. So what we need to think about now is what's going to show, let me get this a little straightened out, what's going to show on the underside of the chair. Well, let's use this example. I think I used purple on this one. So what's going to show is what I want to cover up. And you can see here, I didn't cover that up very well. So I need to remember, grab this, because whatever I put here, I also need to put a little bit back here. So I need to choose a color to go on here. And I think, let's see, I think I may want to do a pink, because doing it now is a lot easier than waiting. So for this, you're going to need a piece of scrap paper. And I am going to just grab a piece of, oh wait, there we go. There's some scrap paper there. It's the one thing I didn't have out. And again, this is white sulfide paper. I purchased a ream of it, so for some projects. So now, oh wait, that's the one. Just need one. That's two in there, whatever. I always put something underneath because I want to be able to get all the way to the edges. So let's think about what color we want to use. And I think, let's see, let's look at the colors of paper that I have. So I was thinking I could pull out some lavender. Let's see if I've got anything that's kind of purpley or lavender in here. Okay. Ooh, I think that one might look good. Because I've got a lot of pink. There's a little yellow. I don't think the yellow will look good. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this. Now, this is the color that I'm going to use to wrap up the piece of board, the fiber board that goes underneath it. Not fiber board, foam core that goes underneath. Remember, that's this stuff, which I haven't cut yet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab one of my pens, and this is the Artistro. It doesn't have to match perfectly. I think I will go with the darker purple, though. I'll go with the darker purple. I don't particularly mind if it doesn't match. And I'm going to use, pardon me, I think I'm going to use that one. Or, nah, I'm going to use this one. So basically what I'm going to do is from about here all the way across, I'm going to add pen to these places right here. And you can see here, I'm just, and this is just one coat. This is the reason why I want something underneath it. I don't want to accidentally draw on my my cutting mat, because that kind of bugs. So you can see, I usually do 2 coats, and this is just for me personally, because I want the color to kind of pop, and I start to get kind of a little PO'd at the streaks. I don't like streaks. And notice I'm holding things down, and when I'm doing this, I'm not going back and forth. I do one line and bring it back up. The reason I do that is because sometimes if you go back and forth, you'll end up catching the paper and then coloring on the wrong side, adding paint pen, and you don't want to do that. I don't think you want to do that. Or I should say, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to add all this in here. Okay. And you can see it's a little glossy kind of when wet, so I can set that aside. And I'm going to come over here, give myself a line, and add this in. And then let it dry. So the next part of this is going to be, we're going to flip this over. The next part of this is I'm going to show you how to cut this piece of foam and then wrap it in paper. And cut this piece of foam, wrap it in paper. And then we'll cut these right here, the little arm pieces, out in the next part of the video. So I'll see you in the next part of the video.